I'm getting out of here next week. Serve my time.
I heard you've been telling people the first thing you were going to do when you walk out of here is get a gun.
You know what I like about this film in particular is that it's a very classic Western. Mm-hmm. I really like that because I like classic stories. You know what I mean? Like, sometimes we invent too much.
It's true. And, you know, we just did a press conference, and not me, but one of the actors had a very interesting comment that I think is true. And that is, in this story, because he plays Tiberio Vargas, who is kind of the bad guy, or appears to be the bad guy. He said, you know, nobody in this story can really, they are who they are. There's no pretense. And there's something beautiful to see this play out without judgment, that people are trapped by their circumstance, and you see how they play their fate, you know? And this is beautifully expressed in this film, because everybody is who they are, and they play out their hand. And it's nice to see that. It's kind of a moral fable.
Yeah.
You lock me up, Tiberio Vargas might not like it one damn bit.
If Tiberio Vargas becomes angry, it could be trouble.
I wish you could speak about your passion for Western. I've seen Geronimo when I was a kid. For me, it's like a mythological stories.
Well, they are. They're part of the collective mythology of now the Western civilization, really. I think of Westerns, and in a way Italy has proved this. They're a world phenomenon rather than simply an American phenomenon. It's a long, you can make the connection to the Greeks and to the Norsemen and all that business, but the Western now kind of stands on its own. I think the trick is don't rely upon the traditions just to get you through. You got to bring something else to the party. But
a good story.
A good story will help, and a good cast will help.
Senor Max Borland is a private investigator.
I'm a big fan of Western. I think it's a cliche. I grew up watching Westerns with my grandparents. I wish you both could speak about Westerns, but this one really strikes me. Has a twist, has a female character. You're not friends in the beginning, you hate each other. And how do you feel about like a freshen up Western?
I didn't grow up watching Westerns, so I didn't have a ton of frame of reference. I watched them more as an adult, and really appreciate the genre too, and sort of the fantasy of them. And this feels like, you know, listening early conversations with Walter, it was his intention to push at the space, at the genre, and also to create more space in the canon for something that has a fresh bend. And I was very excited by the idea of continuing to expand and evolve this age-old style of filmmaking and genre, I suppose.
Western is for involvement of the person who watches it, not from a connoisseur's geeky point of view, you know, but from the one who lives through the conflict. It's not a museum. It is dealing with the conflict and trying to elevate it onto a semi-mythological level where stories are being told much more directly and much more effectively.
I wouldn't try anything foolish. Walk away from that gun.
What about room for Western in this contemporary world? How do you reinvent them?
Well, people, I hear all the time, oh, when they're going to make a good Western? I hear this. I think our relationship to Westerns has probably changed a lot because it gets further and further away from us. But somehow that thing that I described, this kind of chess game of people trying to find dignity and trying to find a way to make their lives better in this kind of primitive, very harsh environment, is something that we all like to watch because we relate to it on some level. I don't know, because the conventions, we know them all, and lately when they've tried to make Westerns, they try to put a spin on it or try to throw a lot of money at it or really design it. in a big way. The thing that I like about this, and I don't know whether this works or whether this is just justification for me, but this is a low-budget Western. But it's made by a man that knows Western very well, and it's very disciplined in the respect that it's simple, it's clear, and it's no extra. It's so basic that you kind of enjoy that kind of roughness, that essentialness, that kind of elementalness.
See this, Esteban? You put a gun in it, and it's the devil's right hand.